on the bell tower with Sarah and Toinette. So we're lucky to have Toinette with us today. It's taken 2 semesters to get you in here.
Yeah.
So she's. What do you think is important for people to know about you?
Okay. Yes, I am Toinette Powers. I am a incoming junior this year, so class of 2021, hopefully. I am a double major in international studies with a concentration in global relations, as well as psychology with a minor in Spanish. I am a proud African American female, first generation student, and I think everything else will be covered in this interview.
Oh, okay. And where are you from?
I am from Thomasville, North Carolina, so it's about an hour and a half away from Raleigh.
Okay. Is that like a rural
Yes.
place?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's a city to me until I got here. I'm like, yeah, no, this isn't a city.
Yeah, so what was different?
I think the
Like
biggest,
other than the obvious, but like what
yeah.
did you think was different?
As far as I would say the sense of community. I come from a very small town where the majority are Latinx and African American people, and to make that transition from that to Raleigh in general, especially NC State, a PWI, and in general in Raleigh and at NC State, there's a lot of diversity. So yeah, those are the biggest ones.
Yeah. What about getting around the city or the bus system? Because you
Yeah,
had never ridden
never.
like
I
a
could,
public bus or
right.
anything.
I could have walked anywhere I needed to in Thomasville. So when it came to getting on the bus for I think the first semester, I didn't even use the app. I didn't even try to learn the app. I just was like, well, I think I got this under control. And then sooner than later, I realized it took me like 45 minutes to walk to one class. So I couldn't do that or I would be late. So eventually it put me in the position to learn and get into the routine of being on campus.
I'm actually, a quick question is what was your reaction when you went back to Thomasville after being in Raleigh, NC State? Did you see it totally different?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. It took me a second to admit those differences because I still wanted to call my small rural town a city like I've always did growing up. But eventually I'm like, yeah, this isn't it. I realized that I didn't want to go home as much, mainly because there was nothing to do. And I didn't realize that until I left Thomasville. And to understand that because of the circumstances in our small community, it's just I wasn't having those same conversations that everyone else were having.
Sometimes people get stressed out when
Yeah.
they feel like they have less in common with their family.
Yes, that's true. Yes,
You know, and so-
yeah, I do feel like as far as how like my thinking, my creative thinking skills, and how I communicate, it has grown. And to go back home, it's to communicate the same way I communicate here. I realized I had to learn how to switch it, and not because I was trying to like belittle myself, but just to understand that different circumstances and different environments that is necessary. So yeah.
Yeah, because it's natural to change the way you talk. Like you talk very differently when you're in court, than you with your best friends.
Exactly.
With your best friends, you don't even have to
That's true.
speak. You just give a look, and you know
Yeah,
exactly what they're saying. So it
true.
doesn't, and it doesn't mean you feel indifferent about your
Right.
family. It's just like you've had this major experience and they haven't.
Right. And I would say the biggest thing was the language, like how I spoke. I never thought or considered myself country or to have an accent, but once I got here, like everybody thought I was from the country. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm from a little city.
Yeah.
No. So yeah.
Now, how has like all of your different identities impacted your education, or how did you how you viewed your identities? Did they change since you've been here?
I would say the transition from high school, which, like I had mentioned, mostly the majority was Latinx and African American students, to NC State was in general just a big change in many different ways, but especially racially. Like I said, like NC State has a lot of diversity, but the majority is white students, and that transition I think was I'm not going to say. Well, I would say kind of difficult, not because I was uncomfortable. It's just all I had overall was like the stereotypical, like, oh my goodness, am I going to be faced with racism? And are they not going to like me? It's just a lot of thoughts that came into my head just because I haven't been put in the situation where the classroom that I would be in, I would most likely be one of possibly, hopefully, 5 African Americans in a classroom of like 100 and something students. So to be in that environment, I think I don't feel like I faced imposter syndrome specifically, because I've always had that sense of pride in who I am as a person, as well as being an African American female. But I do think being at NC State, it has made me even more proud to be African American female, because I know who I represent as far as my family, my ancestors, and what I can do and how I can share to others as well.
So, like, your different identities, like, have benefited, like, strengthened, or you've embraced them?
100%. Yeah, I would definitely say I feel like I've always embraced all of my identities, but I do think being on campus has definitely made me have a new level of have a new sense of proudness within them, and not only being African American, but of course being a female in general, and as well as being like a Christian, because I do believe in God as well, and I feel like my belief in God has definitely increased. I always have believed in God, but being by yourself, an hour and 30 minutes away from home, put in different situations, it had me depend more on my faith.
Yeah, you had to rely on that, like you've never, that became your support system.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Because you did have to replace the support system at home because they weren't physically there.
100%. Yeah, that distance. Coming originally, I'm like, an hour and a half, that is great. It's not 100% like away from home, but it's to the point to where there's a good enough distance where, like, Mom will not be coming to my doorstep. But eventually you do feel that space, and sometimes it's a good thing, but other times it's a moment of reflection and understanding that those people that you once depended on did add value to you.
Yeah. Excellent. And what would you say or do for a student who, like, because of their identities, they felt more isolated? Have you had any friends that have, like, it's been a negative experience?
Yes.
Or not? Yeah.
Yes. And the biggest thing for that, I had a few friends, especially my freshman year, first semester, feel that sense of isolation for different reasons. And I would say the biggest way to try to overcome those obstacles would be to find a sense of community, and whatever that community looks like to you, just find it on campus. I know it can be hard, but it is somewhere on campus. So you have to take the initiative to look in a search for those clubs or those programs that can help your experience at NC State be more valuable.
And then you're in several different programs, and all very highly selective. So, which one was the first one you were in? Was that the Chancellor's Leadership?
Yes, the Chancellor Leadership Development Program.
So what's that? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so that program, before I even got on campus, they had sent applications out once I got accepted, and I'm like, okay, of course, why not? Like, this is the first program I could be a part of as soon as I get on campus. Once I got in, it was just a great experience. Overall, they focus a lot on service and leadership, and understanding that you have to understand yourself before leading others, which is what a lot of my programs have in common. Overall, that program has helped me with a lot of different experiences. We went to New Orleans in the Lower Ninth Ward to help build a few houses. We went to London, and the whole purpose of the program is to understand yourself and your leadership skills so you can better assist others in serving them, not helping, but serving them, which that's a whole nother conversation. But understanding the difference between serving and helping in order to make the world a better place and ultimately your community.
Yeah, so that was nice because you had a very supportive, enriching community right when you got on campus.
100%. Yeah.
And then how did you afford to go to all these places?
Yeah, so the Chancellor Leadership Development Program was specifically for rural minority students. And overall, they had funds and grants that were able to serve us, which was a huge help because I knew I would not be able to afford a week trip to London or to go to New Orleans for an entire week. And to be able to do that, like, I recognize my privilege within that, to be able to be in a program that paid for those experiences and ultimately benefited me. So yeah, the program funded every single bit of that. And yeah.
Yeah, because I think sometimes people just say, "Oh, I can't do
Right.
that,"
Yeah.
without finding
Yeah.
ways and means of doing it.
100%. And I find that in a lot of different areas in programs when it comes to like studying abroad or other things. The first answer people give is, I can't afford it. And that's all about really taking the initiative to go out there and seek these programs, because NC State has so many opportunities and all that great stuff. So it's really up to you to take advantage of those different programs and opportunities that are there to like give you money so you can like overall make a bigger impact on different communities.
Because had you ever like traveled a lot outside of North Carolina?
No, I actually did not. I mean, when I was really, really young, before like my other siblings came, my mom would tell me all the time, like, yeah, we did this, we did that. But of course, I was like 2 or 3. So overall, no. The closest place we had went to was South Carolina. And then way back, we went to Texas to visit a family friend. But other than that, so a lot of my traveling around the states as well as global did not occur until I got here at state.
Now, was your family concerned? Because that's the other thing a lot of students will say
Yeah,
is like their family doesn't want them.
Yeah.
Like it's like scarier. What if something happens?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I would say when it came to London and another program that I'm a part of, the Caldwell Fellowship program, when we went to Mexico, which was a great experience. My original first study abroad experience was with that program. They were very not really for it. My mom she was like, Toinette, the news, and then people are being deported. She was just bringing up stuff she heard on the news, and then with our president, I'm just like, mom, I can't just stay here when this opportunity is being given to me for free. All I have to do is just come, show up, and be present. I got to take it on, regardless of the obstacle or whatever thinking she had. So it really took me to be understanding towards her, understanding why she felt so strongly about me not going, but why she was afraid of me leaving. I had to remember her background and her experiences that she had. And overall, I had to maneuver very strategically to help her understand. But I knew as soon as I got the opportunity, I was going.
But you didn't tell your mother that.
Of course not. No, in the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, I'm going. But to her, I'm like, I mean, mom, I just need you to say yeah, just to make her understand, like, her opinion, regardless, is still valuable. But in the back of my head, I'm like, Mama, I'm gonna need you to get on the same page. But yeah, just still a respect level there.
Yeah, because it's not unreasonable that she wouldn't be afraid,
right?
You know, 100%. Or have concerns,
exactly.
You know, and it's nice that you addressed those.
Yeah.
Tell us about the Caldwells. You mentioned that, and going to Mexico.
Yes, the Caldwell Fellow program. So I got into that program it was my freshman year, second semester. That program is very into authenticity and being one's true self and understanding what you bring to the table so you can better serve others. So very similar programs, except they do have a few differences. This program is a program that also funds certain experiences, such as my first international trip to Mexico, Guanajuato, specifically the city of Guanajuato, and it was great. We went there to also like serve a community service learning experience. So we learned about the community. We learned more about like immigration and first-handed basis. So being able to speak to immigrants who were traveling and understanding the experience and understanding that the things that we hear in the United States I'm not going to say isn't the truth, but it's important to know that we're in the United States hearing this information. We're not there. So that was a great experience in that. We also served a local community. We painted a mural that had like a lot of graffiti on it. But overall, that experience was great. And it was just a great mixture of understanding yourself on a more global scale, but also becoming culturally aware of another community and culture.
Yeah, and Trio has always had at least one student in Caldwell every year.
Yeah.
So that's the piece, is that it's very attainable
Yes,
to get in the
100%.
program.
Yeah, and it can be kind of intimidating because when you go on the website and read those numbers, it's kind of like, wow, here I am, this one person trying to get in, because they get approximately between, if I'm not mistaken, 200 to 300 applicants, and then they choose 60 people out of that pool. And then there's a whole day of interview, which is really fun, and then they choose about 25 students out of that. So it can be really intimidating when you're looking at those numbers, but understanding that you are valuable and not just the program being valuable to you, and understanding that you have something to bring to the table can make all the difference.
Yeah, because one of the key things is with the authenticity is they want to get to know you better in a way that has nothing to do with college acceptance.
100%.
You know,
yes.
GPA, etc. So they actually don't even, you know, it's like, forget that.
Exactly, yeah.
Because what are the things that you wrote about, or what are the questions they asked you, like the interview questions?
Yeah, overall, I felt they asked questions that you wouldn't normally get if you were at like a job interview. Like Sarah had mentioned, it's mostly understanding you. So the questions were based around you and your experiences and whatever answers that you wrote within your essays. So I think that's one of the biggest differences within the Caldwell Fellow Program compared to all of the other programs I've ever ran into or heard about on NC State's campus. It's not about, like you said, that GPA or those numbers. Although there's, like, of course, certain numbers they would like to see, the program is based on, like, the person and the experience and how you want to use your experience, good or bad, to ultimately serve a greater purpose other than just having that experience. So, yeah. The questions were basically all about you.
Yeah, and that's the piece, too, is your lived experiences, even though you may not think they're significant, that's one of the key things. So it's like, don't hold back, because it's like, oh, I shouldn't share that. Like, what if they judge me? And it's like, no, you know, get as real as possible.
Yeah. And as possible and as comfortable as you feel like getting as well. I think that's important.
And then what's the length of that program? So it's till you graduate, correct?
Yes, it's till you graduate. So like I said, they help you get those global experiences or whatever experience, because you do get a nice stipend, as well as some funding for your tuition as well. So yeah, it helps you all for the rest of your time on NC State's campus during those 4 years. So.
And they have a very supportive staff and community and alumni.
Yes. I think the biggest thing that I've gotten from the program overall, other than like the finances and the experience, would have to be the cohorts. It is a very supported program, especially within our cohorts. I think that has been a good aspect of the program, understanding that we all got chosen and that we all bring different things to the table, and understanding that we all have different experiences and having those intimate conversations that may be uncomfortable with other friend groups, but understanding like the program strategically put all of you together, and having those conversations, it really brings out the strengths that each and every one of us have.
Because you had talked, like, these are both leadership programs to a certain extent. Yeah, and so their philosophy is, like, you have to know yourself before you get a leader, and the difference between serving and leading.
Yes.
Yeah, do you want to just get into that a little bit,
what
that means?
Yeah, so serving and helping? Okay, so...
Or what was it you said?
Serving and helping.
Oh, okay, serving.
Yeah, so when we go into communities or just in general, a lot of people just like, I want to help them. How can I help you? Like, and I think it's important to understand that both of these programs have helped me understand. So overall, I think the biggest difference is that when you want to help, it's kind of like you're coming in a community and you're putting your tactics on them and telling them, this is how I can help you. Let me show you. And doing that can be problematic in a few different ways, just because you don't never want to feel as if you're coming in as if you're above anybody because of their experience. And doing that can make them feel uncomfortable, whatever community you're serving, that can make them feel uncomfortable and kind of shut down and not want any of your quote unquote help. Whereas serving a community is going in and understanding, helping them understand, like, I'm here to serve you. You tell me what you need from me, and I'll do the best I can to serve you in that way. And helping them understand your strengths and how you can serve them. It's just a nice boundary between helping the community understand you're not coming in trying to take over. I mean, so with serving, serving puts more of an emphasis on the community.
Yeah, they're in the driver's seat.
Exactly.
And not you.
Oh my goodness, that was such a good analogy. Exactly, they're in the driver's seat, not you. So helping overall is like, I'm in the driver's seat, you're, somewhere over there. I'm gonna lead this because obviously you haven't been doing it right. Whereas serving has more of a stronger connotation where it's like, look, you're in the driver's seat. I'm just trying to serve you in whatever way I can.
Yeah, because what even the helper thinks is a problem may not be like what other people think, or even the problem,
100%.
and all of that stuff.
Yeah, and it goes back to like only looking at on the outside. If you're only looking on the outside, if you're not in that situation, the only thing you can do is look on the outside. How you do that, it varies. But looking on the outside, that doesn't mean you understand every bit and piece. So you can't come in and say, I'm going to help you when you don't have that experience directly. So serving is like, look, I don't know the details. I'm not an expert, but I do want to benefit.
And then how has it, like, knowing that and being in these leadership programs, how has that helped you, like, personally, spiritually, academically?
I think just that little change of perspective has helped me in a lot of different ways, especially, like, when it comes to friends, like how I communicate, not in a way that's like, girl, oh my goodness, I don't know what you're talking about, but just understanding, like, how you show up can kind of determine how someone take your perspective. I'm in a program that I got connected with. The Caldwell Fellow Program connected me with Neighbor to Neighbor, which is a nonprofit program, nonprofit organization, and it's definitely in Raleigh. Overall, me and my partner had to become program coordinators within our 6th graders and 7th graders, and overall our program was about helping them with college preparedness. And of course, a lot of these students are minorities in many different aspects, so understanding that how I come off to them will determine how far they take the information. So I couldn't come in and just like tell them, like, I'm older, I have more experience, I'm in college, let me help you out.
And don't you want to be like me?
Exactly.
like maybe they don't.
Look, don't you? Exactly. Maybe that's not what they want, but I had to understand that our program was there to let them know, like, look, the option to go to college is there, it's available. And understanding that and acknowledging that, yes, you may have more obstacles than the average person, whether because of race, whether it's because of your family's education or experiences. But overall, being a leader in that program helped me be able to better serve the younger ones, because I knew I had to come off in a way that wasn't me being at the top and them on the bottom.
And then you created a program, like an offshoot from that.
Yes.
What was that program?
So not this incoming semester, but spring of 2020. Oh, 2020, oh my goodness. Spring of 2020. Because I love the program so much and that connection that I built with the students, I continued to stay in connection with them and was given the opportunity to have another program, and that is going to be entitled Sisters Striving Towards Success. Being there and being a part of the college preparing program helped me really understand that there was a need for sisterhood within the whole nonprofit, because there's a lot of benefits that the nonprofit bring, and I wanted to continue to serve them in a way that I was equipped to be able to, and I feel like that program would be.
Yeah, so you were there for at least a semester before you came up with that program.
100%,
and you built it based upon the need.
Yes. Overall,
like, you responded to,
you
served them.
Exactly. That's a big one. Being there, I started to also not have a straight and narrow perspective, which is to get in because it's a requirement for the Caldwell program and get out. I tried to really soak in the experiences and learn, and doing that, I saw a need for a different type of community within the females in the program.
Yeah, and that's where just the way you see the world is beneficial.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't have to don't try to make yourself see it in the same way as other people.
Exactly.
Now, how have you had a social life with all of this going on?
That's
I'm
funny.
sure.
It can be kind of difficult because with the Chancellor Leadership Development Program, the Caldwell Fellow Program, I'm in a few other programs, and I just try to take it week by week and not think a whole lot ahead, just enough to the point to where it's necessary. My social life, time management is key, and prioritizing people and tasks that need to get done has became like number one way that I can get through all of this, but still enjoy it.
Right. So it's about like prioritization.
Yes.
And so do you ever have to deal with like procrastination or avoidance of like what you don't want to do versus what would be more fun?
If you would have asked me this question freshman year, I'll probably like, no, I don't procrastinate. What is that? No. But I am a procrastinator to a certain degree. I don't think I'm your like top procrastinator, but I do. Self-discipline has become a huge thing for me, because I understand that once I've been doing something for like a long time, I feel like I deserve the rest of the day off. And sometimes I do, but understanding that as a college student, although you know you deserve that, you still have something else to get done because you signed up for that. And because when I sign up for programs or activities or projects, I want to fulfill that type of expectation. It just took a lot of self-discipline to just keep going.
Well, and some of these programs like fulfilled you, were enriching, and not necessarily just an obligation.
Exactly.
Not just a time sucker.
Exactly. I think it goes back to understanding how not only how you benefit the program, but how's the program benefiting you, because they'll also keep you going.
Yeah, because one of the kind of quick ways to check your self-care is, which is in the book Designing Your Life, is to have like, how are you spending your time in like different activities, different like environments, having different interactions, etc. So that's the thing, is if you're always studying in the library, that's not or you're always in your dorm room watching Netflix, or it's like, or 75% of the time.
Right.
So, and that's what you were going to talk about too, is like, how do you do self-care when it seems that for 28 hours a day you're changing the world?
Right.
So when do you work on Toinette?
I would have to say that quickly I realized that I needed to change something, and overall with my experience, it starts in the beginning of the day, understanding that as soon as I get up, I should not look at my email, my phone, my computer. I should not just jump up and run. I shouldn't just look at my alarm, turn it off, and go back to sleep. Sooner than later, I came up with a routine, and that routine consisted of me getting up out of the bed, saying my affirmation. And my affirmation for me is, I am destined for success in all aspects of my life because God said so. So waking up every morning and having that mental thought every morning and saying it out loud, because I'm a firm believer of what you think is what you say, and what you say into the atmosphere will lead to positive energy, vibrations, all of that. So waking up and having that be my very first thing that I say, and then in the mirror, of course, you gotta look at yourself when you say those type of things. Saying that, and then getting up and turning on some music. For me personally, I listen to music, something upbeat that'll get me started, read a section of my Bible of some sort, write something if there's something on my mind. And then I listen to a motivational speech on YouTube. There are a lot on YouTube. Something 10, 15 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes, and then I'll start my day. So understanding that the very beginning of your day is the most significant part, because once you do that in the beginning, you'll keep going back to that subconsciously when you are faced with different obstacles throughout the day.
And it sets a tone, because if
Yes,
you start out the
yes,
day
yeah.
not feeling good, or not getting, what do you call it, like centered or focused on yourself, like the larger purpose.
Yes, yeah.
And not getting sucked into, oh my gosh, I have to do this one thing.
Exactly. And like you said, a larger purpose, because throughout the day there's a lot that can happen that can make us feel little, or make us feel like, I don't know, I just need to take a break, or I just need to stop. And understanding that, going back to your affirmations that you are beautiful, or going back to your affirmations that you have a bigger purpose, or my affirmation that I am destined for success, going back to those affirmations, or those thoughts that you originally had in the very beginning of the day, can ultimately change you from having like those negative thoughts to, like, you know what, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, because it's like if you have the larger goal that you're excited about, because certain days in college are going to suck. Like, they're going to be some of your worst days.
Yeah, and that's okay.
And that's,
and saying that, today sucked is not a bad thing. I think some people get confused. Some people are figuring like, no, today was horrible, I hate today, like, and just let it ruin the rest of their week. And then some people are like, never, every day is beneficial. And it's like finding that middle. It's like, you know what, today sucked, and then, like, you know what, but it's just today, like, it's okay, I got tomorrow. So finding that middle, which is acknowledging your negative feeling and then putting it to rest, is an important part too.
Yeah, so when you're focused on the larger picture that's positive, it's hard for that, like, small thing to come into play.
Yeah, and you don't want to just keep having that negative feeling but not acknowledging it. It can create a sense of disappointment that you're bearing, but not acknowledging it, it can kind of not be good. So I would say overall, acknowledging those negative emotions are just as important as putting them to rest, because you can't put anything to rest if you're not acknowledging those thoughts to begin with.
Yeah, exactly. And there's no need to kind of like, I'm supposed to be happy, or I'm supposed to be like okay with these things.
Yes, 100%. I think I had to realize that a little bit too, because ever since I was young, I just felt like positive, be positive, good things will happen. But eventually it was like, okay, no, no, it wasn't good. And I just need to, today's done. We can start again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can afford to do that, and sometimes in college you can't afford to do that.
Well, in some situations, it's appropriate to feel bad. Like if you said like, oh no, it's fine, that would be inappropriate. Yeah, it wouldn't be healthy.
Exactly. Like you have a test that you didn't study for, and you get like a F or 59 or 60 or something, and that wasn't good. Just looking at the test and like, oh, well, I have tomorrow. It's like, okay, first let's unpack that. Why did that even happen? You feel bad. Okay, what are you going to do differently? So it's different strategies that you'll have to use for different situations, like you had mentioned.
Yeah, not running right to a coping skill, like shopping, drinking.
Ooh, child, no, don't do that. You're broke. You can't do that anyway. Don't do that. We're all broke. Yes.
Now, the exciting thing too that usually what you and I talk about the most is all of the exciting things that you want to do in life. And so what are some of those? Because sometimes it seems like, because you're so excited about so many things, it actually stresses you out. Or it's like you almost feel it as like a negative, or overwhelmed or something.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think half of that is like me being a first generation student as well. It's like I got this far, I gotta keep going, and understanding that, like, okay, take a breather. But to go off what you said, I have a lot of future things I want to do, like next year.
So talk about some of those.
Okay, so one thing overall, I do plan on creating a website that I can use to represent myself in the workplace or just in general, because as technology has increased, having that resume is very important still, but also having that extra representation on a digital level can also add value to you and what you bring, and not just someone on a piece of paper. So starting that website with the help and assistance from Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. But that's something huge that I want to do. Overall, also, like Sarah had mentioned earlier, the program that I'm a part of at Neighbor to Neighbor, starting my very own program within that, Sister Striving Towards Success, is also something that I definitely am going to do, and that's in the works. But I want to be as intentional as possible when it comes to serving these students. So that has also been something that has taken up a good chunk of my time. In the future, I would love to do graduate school possibly and ultimately obtain my PhD, which I am getting the assistance from the McNair Scholars Program, which is a program underneath the TRIO program. But as of right now, I'm doing research with that and seeing what that looks like.
And McNair program is focused on research and getting your PhD.
Yes, yes, specifically. So that's a direct program that can like directly affect me and my goal to obtain that PhD. And understanding that I have to start that process now. As far as doing research, GRE practice, so shout out to that program for that. And as far as things I would like to do on campus, I still am a part of the Caldwell Fellow program. I would like to continue to help them with their selection day as far as getting that together. And also just keep being a part of other programs such as NAACP on campus and being in those spaces where I can better assist people and vice versa, understanding that those programs can also assist me and the people within those programs can also help me in different ways as well.
Mm-hmm. And you've also talked about like your different business ideas because you want to own your own business.
Yep.
What are some of those?
So yeah, I do want to own my own business. I want to do a lot.
Yeah, tell us.
And with speaking of Sarah, it helped me not focus on having that narrow like focus, feeling like I have to only be doing like one thing. Like I can only become a researcher or I can only become a professor. Like understanding that I can have multiple things that I'm passionate about. I can do all of those, or like of course a certain amount that's healthy for me. So with that being said, like I do want to work on my speaker skills and understanding what does it take to be not exactly a motivational speaker, but just a speaker in general. I'm interested in that. A business side, I'm not 100% sure what that looks like, but I am definitely interested in becoming an entrepreneur. So and I already took a class for that and keeping those connections open and being as open-minded as possible since I don't have like a one focus. And then, of course, in the future, I plan on having a nonprofit program, specifically starting in the United States and then like internationally. I would like for that program to overall help families, specifically single parent families and those children within those families, help those parents with life in general, such as counseling, finances, and all that. Because with a lot of nonprofit programs, I find that they help, maybe with food or they help with finances. And I know all of that is necessary, of course, but I feel like my program would be unique in the essence of helping families mentally because you can put a family in a new home, but it doesn't mean that mindset and those skills within that home would change. So attacking the mental issues that are happening within these homes to better assist those families.
Been recently reading the book Designing Your Life, so I have but it addresses like dysfunctional beliefs and then how to reframe it about like designing your life.
Yes.
So one of these applies to you. So the dysfunctional belief is I need to figure out my best possible life and make a plan and then execute it. So reframing it, there are multiple great lives and plans within me, and I get to choose which one to build my way forward. Mm-hmm. And then most plans, it's like there's a 3 to 5 year cycle. Mm-hmm. So high school is 4 years, college is 4 years, graduate school is 5 years. You're usually at a job 3 to 5 years, and then you move. And different things change, and even like personal relationships every 5 years. You have different friendships and like how relationships change. So your life plans, and your jobs and everything, careers, what you're going to focus on is going to change. Yeah. So at 20, you've got, and divide everything by, 5 up to 40 years, you've got 8 life plans in you. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's the piece where every one of those ideas can be a life plan. It just may not be the one right now. Mm-hmm. And it may not be your life plan even in 20 years. It may be your life plan in 30 years.
Right. Yeah, 100%. I think that's been something that I've put a lot of focus on within the last year or so. Changing that mindset of understanding that like it's okay not to know everything, especially the future, because I can't know the future till I get there. So yeah, I think that's been a big thing. I think that has a lot to do with how I was brought up because of my family and having that desire to have stability, financial stability specifically, and understanding like I need to have it all figured out in order to get to that point to where I can do this and do that. But understanding that and changing that mindset is important because you have to understand that at the end of the day, you're not here just for one reason. And I know that's kind of contradicting like the stereotypical set thing that has been said, which is like you have one purpose or you have a purpose. I personally believe you have many purposes, but like you had mentioned, there's one thing there's many things that you're put here to do or you can do. But of course, it's up to you to decide which one of those are you going to just use and keep it going.
And then I would say the other, they talk about the dysfunctional belief is I should know where I am going. And then the reframe of that is I won't always know where I'm going, but I can always know whether I'm going in the right direction. So, I mean, I think everybody would agree that you're going in the right direction.
Yes, I hope so.
Right?
Jesus.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's something you can kind of check off. It's like, do you know exactly what you're doing? Do you have an exact plan? It's like, no, but I'm doing the right thing. You know, I'm putting myself in the right situations.
100%. 100%. And I think it has a lot to do with self-doubt as well. Like, that goes back to the motivational factor. You have to learn to motivate yourself to keep going. I know a lot of that is focusing, like, you know, I need people who will motivate me, which is important to have. But understand that, though, there's going to be plenty of times in college, life in general, where you are going to have to motivate yourself. I think that's a big thing as well, because you have to learn that you learning how to motivate yourself is also you learning what your weaknesses are and why is it that you need to be motivated to do that, and then they'll lead to more unsurface level, so more deep conversations and understandings about yourself that you may not have noticed.
Now, what other things do you do for self-care, or even do you observe from other people? So not even you, but like your friends or you. Because especially first year, I mean, it's just hard to be happy and healthy and productive and et cetera, et cetera.
I would have to give like a lot of it to, like I said, the community, the friends that I have, and the different friends. But of course, you also have those closer friends.
But how do you make a good friend? I mean, because that's a lot of times too is like positive, enriching relationships versus.
Yeah, well, it's funny that you mentioned that. I just had a conversation about this with a friend earlier yesterday. We talked about understanding that when you come in contact with someone that you think has the potential to be your friend, or like you become friends with that person, you're going to sooner than later recognize a lot of flaws, or not necessarily flaws physically, but like mental thinking flaws. So you might have a friend who continuously dates the same dude who's treating her negatively, and she keeps coming to you, bringing that energy and talking to you about it after you done told her to stop, or any other, or just any friend who has mental things, who are like very closed off and unwilling to open up to you.
So it's like a mindset.
It's a mindset, and understanding that each and every one of us have different things that are at different levels within different situations, whether that's relationships, whether that's motivating ourselves, whether that's like looking down on ourselves. Like each of us have those things that we're working on, where another friend on that level might be at a higher level of that type of subject. So for example, when it comes to relationships, like I feel like I'm very self-aware of that type of thing, whereas another friend, she got something else going on where she's not really wanting to admit those issues, or just understanding that we all have things that we need to work on. But understanding that when you become friends with someone, you're basically saying that, like, I am okay with that. Like, I am your friend. And when you're saying, yes, we're friends, that's basically being okay with their growing process. and understanding that, yes, you have that, but I also have this, and we're going to get through this together type situation. So overall, everybody has their issues, different ways, and you may be higher level some category where your friend is lower level or vice versa, but understanding that when you become friends with someone, you also have to look at the positive things that they bring to the table and understand or decide like if that's something that you want to be a part of.
And then where are the different places that you found community, like even in physical spaces, organizations?
I would say, for example, the trio office, there's always people coming in and out. That has been beneficial. The Multicultural Student Affairs Center in Tally has definitely been like a hub for me and a lot of other people. I met a lot of my friends during Symposium, which is a program led by the Multicultural Student Affairs Office, where first year students go the weekend before classes start. And I would also say just different programs that I've been a part of, such as NAACP, the TRIO, McNair program, and the African American Culture Center has also been a nice hub for me as well. Yeah.
Like, what do you wish somebody had told you? Like, what do you wish you'd known?
Okay, about state?
About, college life.
I feel like one thing that comes to mind is like saying no. I mean, it seems like common sense, of course, but being a part of something and then having to get out has always been an issue for me, just because like once I dedicate myself to a program or to something, I want to stay through and I want to push through that whole situation.
Yeah, because more is not always good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So understanding that, I need to get out of this for me is just as important as getting into something because you need it. So there was an instance where I was a part of a great program, and it was just to the point to where I had to self-reflect and see that, like, the distribution between it benefiting me and me benefiting it was kind of not leveled. And just because my schedule was just too much in general, like, I knew I needed to let it go. And
because you don't have to do everything every semester.
Exactly, which is great with college, because in high school it's like, you need to do this the whole year you signed up. So understanding that that option is there, it took me a second to actually, like, I need to do it. So it was hard for a good minute, because one semester I knew I needed to do it, but I didn't, because I felt bad. Like, I didn't want to stop something that I had already started, but sooner than later I started to see that, like, it was necessary. So saying no, or in general just understanding that you could start something and it's okay to get out of it, especially with college, because that option is always available, especially if it's going to benefit you to get out of it in the first place.
Well, if you want to leave us with your affirmations, that'd be nice to say those again.
Okay. So I can just repeat my affirmation, and hopefully you all can create your own unique affirmations. It's really fun. I'm kind of like a nerd when it comes to that stuff. So I am Toinette Powers, and I am destined for success in all aspects of my life because God said so.
And we believe it too.
Thank you. Thank you.